County sasa okay, wakituambia tusingie Nairobi, tutalipa nini? City Council na for example tunalipa City Council over 5,000, 5,300. Kwa gari dogo ni kitu kama 3,000. Tutakuwa tunalipa hizo na tuingie town.
That Nairobi is in need of decongestion is not in question. The challenge that the government may face is the delicate balance of protecting the livelihoods of Nairobi residents while implementing their policies. Charity Mwangi, NTV.
Clearly from Charity's report, you see there are many questions the people asking about this BRT system. In fact, many are asking what BRT stands for. And of course, let's get an understanding of this bus rapid transit system. Now, it is designed to improve the capacity and reliability of basically the transport system. And it gives priority to buses using dedicated roadways. Well, and if, of course, this is implemented well, it aims to combine flexibility, lower cost, and many will say hallelujah to that, and as well as simplicity. Let's look at some of the areas where it has been tried and tested. The first BRT system in 1973 in Ottawa, Canada. The U.S. also began in 1977. And years on, in January 2004, the first BRT in Asia opened in Jakarta, Indonesia. Let's bring it closer home. Actually, let's just have a general outlook on the cities that have implemented this. And yes, if we have, this is the example of that one in Canada, Ottawa. And we also have, I believe, a picture in Indonesia, Jakarta, and how it works. Let's imagine this for a second is Nairobi. Yes, let's believe and let's have faith. So let's look at also some of the examples that are in Lagos. I believe this is in Lagos, and it is also in operation in Tanzania as well as South Africa and Morocco. Well, 166 cities in 6 continents had BRT systems. This is by March 2018. And the one that we just showed you, Jakarta's, is the world's longest BRT system, going 210 kilometers. Africa's first BRT system opened in Lagos, as we showed some of the pictures, the sample pictures there. And Johannesburg followed suit in 2009, Tanzania in May 2016, and Morocco in November 2016, as well as Ghana in November 2016, and Nairobi now trying to implement the same this year. So for the naysayers, let's have some hope from what we've seen working in other republics and other jurisdictions. It is meant to help our lives easier, especially here in the capital. So let's remain hopeful that the implementation, the key word there, implementation and the preparation of the same is top notch. We've spoken of one of the countries there that have implemented BRT system. Well, there's a disturbing story from there, and this is in Njombe province in the southern region of Tanzania. They are conducting, where police are conducting investigations following a series of the mysterious murder, beg your pardon, of 10 children below the age of 10 since the beginning of January. The recent disappearance of 6 of the children aged between 6 and 10 found murdered with missing body parts and private parts cut off has been linked to witchcraft. Early this month, 4 children were found dead under mysterious circumstances, raising the alarm on the safety of children in the region. Authorities have cautioned parents to be vigilant on the whereabouts of their children at all times. Meanwhile, native doctors are to undergo a fresh license review to determine the legitimacy of their businesses.
Wanafunzi wasipande gari yoyote, eza pikipiki au bajaji kwa watu ambao hawafahamiki.
Wazazi wapeleka watoto wao shule asubuhi, wawakabidhi shuleni, halafu wafuate sasa watoto wazitue.
Back home, police are holding a man, Joseph Kori, alongside his alleged lover, Judy Wamboi, over the killing of his wife in Juja, Kiambu County. The officers have been given 14 days to carry out investigations into what is being termed as a love triangle with fatal consequences. The 2 accused lovers appeared before Kiambu Senior Principal Magistrate Stella Atambot over the suspected murder of Mary Wamboi, whose body was found dumped in the waters of a dam near a toll station in Juja. Blood-stained clothes were recovered from a rented house belonging to the co-accused, Judy Wamboi, situated at Four Ways Estate along Kiambu Road. It is believed that Judy Wamboi lured the late Mary Wamboi to that house where they met Joseph Corey. DNA analysis on the samples taken at the house are expected to shed more light on what happened. The two will be held at Juja police station until February the 13th, when the court will be presented with a way forward on the matter. It is a case of a man, a girlfriend and his dead wife. They were the model couple running a successful business and traveling the world until her body was discovered in a small dam off Thika Road last weekend. Inside the Daily Nation tomorrow, the riveting story of how Mary Kamangara died and why her husband and his alleged girlfriend are the key suspects.
Still in the courts, Osman Abdi Dagane, a former security guard at Garissa University during the 2015 terror attack, which claimed 147 lives, has been freed by a Nairobi court. Abdi was among 5 suspects arraigned in court for being directly involved with terrorists. Meanwhile, 6 terrorist suspects in the 14 Riverside Drive attack will remain in custody until Monday, when their bond appeal will be heard.
6 suspects said to have been in communication with the slain terrorists in the 14 Riverside complex attack have been detained until Monday, February 4th, when the court will determine if they will be granted bail.
8 days have actually lapsed.
The state wants the accused Hassan Abdi Noor, Ismail Sadiq, Ali Hamisi, Abdi Noor Maalim, Abdullahi Hassan and Sofian Joki to be held for 30 days, citing diverse investigations needed to be carried out. Elsewhere, 4 terror suspects, Mohammed Ali Abdikar, Hassan Aiden Hassan, Sahal Diriye, Osman Abdi and Rashid Charles Mberesero are facing 156 counts following the 2015 Garissa University attack. The 4 have been put on their defense after a court determined they have a case to answer. Chief Magistrate Francis Andai, however, acquitted a 5th suspect, Osman Abdi Dagane, who worked as a security guard at the university. Charged with killing, conspiring to commit a terrorist act, committing a terrorist act and being members of a terrorist group, the 4 suspects are now in police custody with a status conference scheduled for February 13th ahead of the defense hearing.
Before that, I want to ask.
Meanwhile, 15 men and 2 young women aged between 18 to 27 years have been detained for 7 days following a ruling in a Kwale court. Police sought more time to establish whether they were indeed preparing to join the Al-Shabaab militant group. The 17 were arrested in a suspected safe house in Samburu village, Kwale, where they were to be transported to Somalia. Mel Miendo, NTV.
And as long as they have
The roads have claimed more lives and robbed 2 villages of their beloved. 11 people from Meitke and Kabiemit villages in Uasin Gishu County died in a road accident on Monday night along the Eldoret-Kaptagat Ravine Road, and Lois Wangoi visited some of the families who lost their loved ones in the fatal crash and brings us the narrations of their sorrows and memories.
At Cherotke village, family and friends of the late Alan Serem have already started gathering these to mourn one of their own, a son who was just 32 years old. He was yet to have a family of his own, and he served in society as a veterinary officer.
Ndugu yangu alikuwa mmoja wao ambao tulikuja kufahamu alikuwa mmoja wa wale ambao walihusika katika ajali hiyo, na hata nasi tulipigwa na mshtuko kubwa tukiwa jamii.
Now, the administration here says plans are underway to ensure they offer the necessary financial and moral support for all the victims who passed on in that tragic road accident.
But we want to organize for a huge kind of a fundraising so that we are able to help these bereaved families.
At Daniel Kosgei's compound, family have gathered and in privacy. Lastly, we were able to visit with the family of the late Priscilla Kiprotich. Until her demise following that tragic road accident, she served as an assistant chief. Many say they will remember to her dedication with the civil service.
Sana alikuwa anaongea kuhusu maneno ya maendeleo kusomesha watoto na kuachana na pombe haramu.
Our visit to the 3 homesteads is basically an attempt to put faces to a section of the 11 persons that lost their lives in that tragic road accident along the Eldoret-Kaptagat Ravine Road. Lois Wangoi, NTV, in the county of Elgeyo Marakwet.
I say we need a breather from those sad stories. Thank you, Lois Wangoi, for that story, and our condolences to those villagers and the affected families.
Now, when we come back, we tell you why Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka wants the Orange Democratic Movement to bow out of the Embakasi South by-election. Thank you for keeping it NTV Tonight. Police officers had to break their way into a school in Mombasa to rescue pupils who were allegedly locked in following a rent row.
More than 20 parents, together with the police officers, forced their way into Eton Academy in Juja, Mombasa to rescue their children.
The school owed the landlord 150,000 shillings in rent arrears, as Kevin Mutai reports.
Police were forced to break the chain locking the Eton Academy gate. Parents, together with teachers and education officials, had called the police at Eton Academy in Juja. They accused the landlord of locking up the students from Friday due to unpaid rent.
Saizi tuko na watoto kama 289, 45 wamekuwa boarders, lakini tumekuwa tunapata mitikisiko sana na mwenye nyumba wetu. Ikifika tarehe 10 hatujalipa, kawaida anakuja na kufuli, anatufungia kufuli. Imekuwa ni kama mchezo kwake.
The school directors told the concerned parents that for 2 days, some of their students and teachers have been forced to jump over the fence to access the school. The parents now want the owner of the property apprehended.
Mtoto wangu anasema siku ya kwanza alikula sima na kabeji, siku ya pili jana mwalimu akaruka akaenda kawanunulia chapati na maragwe. Nilivyokuja asubuhi kumchukua saa 2:30 ananiambia alikuwa bado hawajala kitu.
Ngemomba mwenye hii property aconsider tena haki ya watoto. Watoto hawana hatia, angekaa chini na administration wa solve hii problem amicably.
Je, kungetokea incident kama ya moto ingekuwaje? Watoto wangekuwa wapi? Hao watoto wote 30 kufungia, they are so innocent. That is not right.
The institution accuses the landlord of failing to heed to their requests for talks. The school says it has an outstanding debt of 150,000 shillings.
We have commenced investigations to know why this man came to close the school, more especially when the students were also inside here. He could have done it even during the holidays.
Eton Academy is a day and boarding primary school and has been in existence for almost 10 years. Kevin Mutai, NTV, Mombasa.
Let's talk politics now. The Wiper Party says it would be unfair for their coalition partners, ODM, to field a candidate in the Embakasi South by-election, as it will go against the spirit of NASA.
Speaking after the party handed the incumbent Julius Mawathe a direct ticket, the party leader Kalonzo Musyoka asked ODM to drop their candidate, just like Jubilee did, and hand his party a walkover in the contest to enable Wiper retain the only seat it has in Nairobi.
But as Kennedy Mureithi now reports, Wiper's demand may be a tall order, as ODM believes Kalonzo's party did not win the seat fairly in 2017.
The Embakasi South by-election is likely to invite friendly fire between ODM and Wiper, with both seeking to flex muscles in the April 5th contest. But to avoid the heat and casualties, Wiper now wants ODM to ask its candidate Irshad Sumra to relax and give the incumbent Julius Mawathe an opportunity to work.
Even my brothers in ODM, that this is a Wiper seat. Therefore, in the spirit of handshake, we should see them coming to campaign for Mawathe. And in fact, the best they can do is even to withdraw their candidate. So that we are still NASA.
The only seat Wiper iko nayo hapa Nairobi. The only seat. If indeed the coalition means business, they should allow Wiper to retain this seat.
Hanging on the hope the coalition is still intact, Wiper says it will be in bad faith for their partner ODM to go ahead and actually engage them in a duel, yet they have gone that route before, where they have fielded candidates and both of them lost.
For the Kenya, wamesema wao wana support candidate wa Wiper. According to their party leader, Mheshimiwa Moses Wetangula. I don't think ANC had a candidate, and I want to urge that they also do not present a candidate. I'll be talking to my brother, MMD.
Jubilee is facing a backlash from a section of its leaders for having pulled out of the contest. 2 weeks ago, when the deputy president was a guest at the AIC Pipeline Church, the 2017 party candidate got an applause from a section of the congregation that had come clad in Jubilee t-shirts, which was interpreted as protest against the party position.
Tuko vile vile na aliyekuwa candidate wetu Bwana Mutunga. Asante sana.
ODM insiders say it is highly unlikely for them to pull out of the contest, as they believe it may just be a battle that has Mawathe at the face value, but backing from a different quarter. In urging its coalition partner ODM to drop ambitions for the Embakasi South parliamentary seat, Wiper says that it is the only seat that they have in Nairobi, but however, they are promising the ODM a bruising battle if they don't. Kennedy Mureithi, NTV at the Wiper headquarters.
A 14-year-old boy, form 2 student at Embu High School, is nursing injuries after he was allegedly burnt by hot tea in the dining hall.
Kevin Gatombe was with a group of schoolmates when the incident is said to have happened. He was taken to hospital in Embu, but his mother has had him transferred to Kenyatta National Hospital.
Writhing in pain that burns and pierces, his family is still struggling to come to terms with the fate that befell Kevin Gatumbi while at school. The 14-year-old was allegedly burnt by hot tea.
The boys quickly told me the boy had been burnt. I asked what had happened, and they quickly briefed me that the tea urn had fallen on him. How had it fallen on him? I asked, they told me he was swinging on the tea urn.
The school's principal says she, alongside other teachers, rushed the boy to Tenri Hospital in Embu. Immediately the incident occurred. The boy's mother decided to have him transferred to St. Teresa Hospital in Kiambu.
I assured her, but we have good hospitals in Embu, so there isn't really cause for alarm.
Nikawaambia siwezi endaga as in kuona mtoto every day, it's very costly. Na kutoka hapo wakaniambia wata-arrange arrangement ya ambulance, nitumane pesa, nikatumana 12,300.
The family has now opted to transfer the boy to Kenyatta National Hospital to seek specialized treatment. Helen Aura, NTV.
A quick recovery to that young lad. High-powered delegations from Somalia and Kenya are meeting in Mandera to discuss the thorny issue of cross-border terrorism.
Kenya's Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Monica Juma and her Somalia counterpart Ahmed Isse Awad signed a cooperation pact in Mandera pledging to enhance border security through increased surveillance.
NTV's Seth Olale reports from Mandera County.
The Joint Commission for Cooperation between Kenya and Somalia was holding a meeting in Mandera for the first time. Top on the agenda was the border security. The two countries share a strategic but a porous 200-kilometer border that has been breached repeatedly by terrorists who enter Kenya with ease.
There is no other way of dealing with this except improving the systems of management of our common border, so that these borders become bridges.
The two ministers condemned the recent terrorist attack in Nairobi. They pledged enhanced security measures to reduce illegal border crossing, especially by militants.
We suffer from heartless people's acts. I think if we cooperate more and more and regularly, security-wise, border control together, information sharing, I think we can reduce, if not eliminate, these risks. It is a commitment that was made by our principals, and work has been going on it.
There has been little intelligence sharing between Kenya and the Somali government, and this has led to tragic consequences like an attack on Kenya Defense Forces in El Ade. Mandera Governor Ali Roba reiterated the need to involve community leaders and ordinary citizens from both governments to win the war against radicalization.
We are roping in our brothers, as we have done from across the border, in order to continue with the collaboration.
The county boss has survived numerous assassination attempts by suspected militants. The next Joint Commission for Cooperation between Kenya and Somalia will be held in the year 2020, but before then, stakeholders will have to implement that which was agreed upon during the historic meeting held here in Mandera Town. Seth Olale, NTV, Mandera County.
The business news is up next with Julian's Amboko after this break.
Welcome to NTV Business. I am Julian Amboko. The Kenya Aviation Workers Union has issued a 7-day strike notice in protest against plans by the Kenya Airways to form a subsidiary to manage operations at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport for a concession period of 30 years. The workers allege that under this new plan, the Kenya Airports Authority is angling to disrupt their employment terms, deeming some redundant at the onset before giving them fresh contracts of employment. Their bone of contention lies in the 3 options the authority has proposed on how they will be treated once the concession is effected. The workers have accused KAA's Managing Director Johnny Anderson of being behind the move which, if granted the go-ahead, is likely to tinker with the sensitive matter of their job security. On to matters central banking. The Central Bank of Kenya, CBK, projects that the economy will grow by 6.3% in 2019, driven by favorable performance in the tourism and agriculture sectors. The CBK also sees room for mitigating debt pressures through refinancing maturing loans with longer and cheaper credit. Of interest, CBK holds a favorable outlook on the banking sector despite the constraints of the interest rate regime. The central bank is optimistic about prospects of the banking sector in 2019, even as the country remains entangled in debate on how to chart the way forward regarding the interest rate regime. The market regulator says despite prevailing headwinds, key indicators in the sector point at a broadly stable environment, provided banks guard against reckless lending.
The efforts that the banks mounted last year to deal with, let's say, to deal with the non-performing loans, or let's just say loan recovery, are bearing fruit. You can already see that there's some benefit there in terms of the NPL ratios coming down.
The CBK is also wary of the perception risk attached to the country's banking sector following involvement of lending institutions in graft. In November 2018, the central bank upheld its decision to impose a 393 million shillings fine against 5 banks following their involvement in cash relating to the National Youth Service scandal. The market regulator says it is working to avert rising risk in this regard.
In the context of the so-called NYS2, we worked with various institutions, banks, and continue to work with them to strengthen their AML-CFT frameworks. That obviously will continue to reduce the reputation risk for the jurisdiction.
The CBK has also reiterated its position that voluntary consolidation by commercial banks, as has been witnessed in the recent past, is a welcome step in helping to strengthen Kenya's banking sector. Let's switch gears to matters agriculture. Beginning in March this year, dairy farmers will be paid based on the quality of their milk once the new regulations are adopted. The State Department of Livestock says regulations are currently in the final stages of approval and should be ready for implementation by the end of February. Under the new regulations, milk with high butter content will fetch more per kilo, thereby ensuring that only farmers with good quality produce get higher earnings. This is intended to curb the rising cases of milk adulteration. At least 80% of the milk sold in the country is unprocessed, thereby facing greater risks of adulteration.
We have developed the draft bill, and it is being discussed between the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Agriculture, because of that, the two institutions that are going to run the Food and Drug Authority. So I can say it is at the ministerial level, so the experts within the ministry are looking at it, and very soon it will be subjected now to the normal process of validation.
And staying with agriculture, at least 1 million smallholder farmers from around the continent are set to benefit from $500 million project support to support the use of digital technology. The project, dubbed AgriFin Digital Farmer, is funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and targets farmers in Kenya, Tanzania, Ethiopia and Nigeria, and is projected to increase farmers' income through better access to the market.
We are giving that opportunity for the farmer to actually benefit from access to information, to weather information, to market prices, but also improved inputs, seeds, fertilizers, and so on, that are really suited to the microclimate and needs for the smallholder farmer, whether that's for dairy, whether it's for maize.
And that's it for the business news. Good evening. I'm Julian Amboko.
Welcome back. Deputy President William Ruto says the government will clear debts owed to sugarcane farmers just a day after Western region leaders threatened to lead protests over the payment delays.
At the 11th ordinary session of the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council, IBEC, the Deputy President said more than 2.7 billion shillings had been made available by the National Treasury to make the payments.
We are going to provide resources for payment of the farmers, not because the cane was supplied to the government. The cane was supplied to the factories. But the factories, for one reason or another, are not able to pay farmers. We undertook as government that we are going to shoulder that responsibility and pay the farmers.
The ministry will pay directly to the farmers, not through the companies. But they must come up with a process where it's ensured that it's captured by the companies that they have been paid directly to the farmers, as opposed to going through the companies, because of the challenges that we have seen in the past, where we give money to the company to pay farmers, but it is used for other purposes. So for this purpose, we want it to be paid directly to the farmers.
A little of international news now, sorry about that. 2 people were killed and 5 wounded today when a car packed with explosives was detonated near the Ministry of Petroleum in the Somali capital, Mogadishu.
Meanwhile, rescuers continue to search for victims in the mud flow near Brumadinho in southeastern Brazil after a mining dam broke, killing at least 65 people and leaving nearly 300 missing.
At least 2 people were killed and 5 wounded when a car packed with explosives was detonated near the Ministry of Petroleum in the Somali capital. Security officials said the vehicle was parked at a petrol station in front of the ministry's offices in Mogadishu when it was detonated. A witness, Dahir Aidan, said one of those killed was a woman who was selling tea close to the blast scene. Sudanese police used tear gas today on demonstrators holding new rallies against President Omar al-Bashir's government in the capital Khartoum and its twin city of Omdurman, witnesses said. Deadly nationwide protests have rocked Sudan since December 19, when angry crowds took to the streets against a movement decision to triple the price of bread. The demonstrations have grown into anti-government rallies calling for an end to Bashir's iron-fisted rule stretching back 3 decades. Chanting freedom, peace, justice, and we are not scared, protesters clapped and whistled as they began their rallies. Firefighters have now said that the number of dead bodies have increased from 60 people to 65 and those still missing from 200 people to 279. The search still goes on as the firefighters look for survivors in empty homes. Emergency workers continue searching through the disaster area after a tsunami of mineral-laced mud broke through a dam at an iron ore mine owned by Vale near the town of Brumadinho in Brazil. The cause of the landslide is still unclear.
Let's go to the world of sports with Warode Kiru after the break.
time to play on NTV tonight. Welcome to NTV Sport. I am Warote Kiro. We start on not such a good note as a cloud of match fixing hangs over the Kenyan Premier League, with Kakamega Homeboys having fired its coach, Paul Nkata, over allegations of colluding with players to fix matches. The shocking revelation has lifted the lid on what has been a silent problem in Kenyan football, with Football Kenya Federation President Nick Mwendwa taking to social media to pledge action. Ida Waringa places a spotlight on the issue.
Kakamega Homeboys has fired its head coach Paul Nkata and his Ugandan assistant Hamza Kalanzi over bold allegations of match fixing made by club chairman Cleophas Shimanyula. Speaking ahead of last weekend's KPL match, Nkata had asked the club top brass for patience.
Things are all about being patient. Once you are patient, you can achieve something. But once guys are not patient, then you can demolish what you have built.
Nkata and Kalanzi were allegedly involved in fixing 2 KPL games, a 3-2 defeat to Mathare United and a 2-1 loss against Sony Sugar, in which a Kakamega player scored an own goal.
It's not the Kakamega Homeboys we knew under Mururi in the past campaign, and it's really sad that their poor run can now be attributed to claims of match fixing.
Match fixing, commonly known in footballing circles as kutupa game, has been a matter of street conversation in Kenyan football for quite some time. Notably, KPL champions Gor Mahia had to come out in December 2018 to deny allegations that they fixed their CAF Champions League match against Alobi Stars of Nigeria. In July 2018, CAF banned Kenyan referee Aiden Marwa from all football activities for life after he was filmed in a BBC investigative piece receiving 60,000 shillings to reportedly influence a game. In October 2017, Sofapaka team manager Willis Owaliaula had to rubbish claims that he was engaged in match fixing following a Facebook post he had made ahead of his side's 3-1 loss to Western Stima in Narok. The Homeboys' accusations have raised many eyebrows, with Football Kenya Federation President Nick Mwendwa taking to his Twitter page to pledge a firm action on what he terms as a new phenomenon in Kenyan football. Daily Nation football journalist Celestine Olilo on her part, however, was blunt in her reaction, stating that it's now high time for Kenyans to stop burying their heads in the sand regarding match fixing and have honest conversations. Onto the pitch, and there are 4 KPL matches lined up on Wednesday. Kariobangi Sharks face leaders Mathare United, Gor Mahia play Sony Sugar, Zukericho tackle AFC Leopards, and Kakamega Homeboys host Bandari in what will be veteran strikers Allen Wanga's first match as player coach.
We are trying to bounce back because we started the league pretty well, and after the first 2 games, we've not won any game.
Ida Waringa, NTV.
A sad state of affairs, and the Kenya Secondary School Sports Association, KSSA, has moved to level the playing field as well as nurture Kenyan talent by restricting the number of foreign students during their competitions. KSSA, which was named the Federation of the Year at the 2018 Sawyer Awards, had to yield to sponsors' Brookside demand to curb the influx of foreigners, mostly from Southern Sudan, Rwanda, Uganda and Tanzania, in basketball and rugby. In the new rules, the number of foreign students will be restricted to 3 per discipline, and schools will only be allowed to field 2 of the 3 foreign players at any given time. The rules take effect immediately, starting with the Term 1 games in April in Mombasa. And because my language is Britain, let's go to the counties. And Meru County government has come out to deny claims circulating in social media that it is seeking to buy Thika United, which currently features in the National Super League. Ever since its relegation from the top flight, which resulted in sponsors Brookside departure, Thika United has had to battle with financial woes, despite the fact that 4 players in Thika United hail from the county. Meru Sports CEC Daniel Kyogora has stated that their goal is to nurture talent, improve infrastructure, and finally have Meru United FC.
Timu ya Thika United yenyewe itabaki huko Thika. Sisi ni ile nafasi, ikija tutaunda timu yetu tuite Meru United FC ama Meru County FC. Kuna wachezaji ambao wale watakuja kutoka Thika, lakini pia tuko na mpango mwingine wa kuchagua wale wachezaji bora kutoka Meru County pia nao tuingize kwa timu, tuwachanganye na wale ambao watakuja wachache, maybe 1 ama 5, ndio tupatie na wachezaji wetu nafasi ya kucheza katika kiwango cha juu cha mpira hapa nchini.
Across the borders, and Qatar will face Japan in Friday's final of the Asian Cup after overcoming host United Arab Emirates 4-0 in a politically charged clash marred by disgraceful crowd behavior. The Qataris, whose national anthem was drowned by boos before the game, stormed into the final after goals from Bulema Khauki, Alimoz Ali, Hassan Al-Hodos and Hamid.
Kiru for that. Sorry again, I take it up from you. Go ahead.
Well, it's time now for us to make way for Sidebar. And tonight, Ken Mijungu, together with his panelists, explore the question of where does the buck stop? And that is as a follow-up to the National Anti-Corruption Conference. Definitely. He has Kamodo Waiganjo, an advocate, Daisy Amdani, political commentator, Joseph Simecha, I believe I've said that right, and Patrick Obath, representing the private sector. They're getting ready, getting puckered up, but a lot of content to look forward to with Ken Mijungu and the team. So stay with them. My name is Mark Masai. Have yourself a good night. My name is Olive Burrows, and our sign language interpreter has been David Agondoa.